So, Zach, here you are. Bryan, welcome back. So, what do you think about Cobweb UI?
That's very cool. That's so much nicer than Bevy UI already.
Yeah, I'm really
Oh, that's a
curious how
low
you
bar.
I'm really curious how you like save and modify values in existing files. Do you keep track of like the span of it, of like where the text is? Like how do you overwrite the file when you save in the editor?
I rewrite the whole file. So I have a. When you parse it, it gets parsed into a cob representation, and so I can write that back to the file. So I have to extract all the comments in white space, which is a little tedious, but it lets you write back the almost the exact same file. So there's some lossiness in like number conversions. Like I automatically display like floats with no decimal point will be displayed as integers. So there might be some lossiness like that, but yeah, you just write it all back. And
So you also
that's automatic formatting.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, there's not much auto formatting. I think that would be cool to add, but a lot of work.
Makes sense. Okay, so we have still a bunch of questions. I'm gonna go via the most voted one first. So if anyone's in chat wants to have an influence on that, go on the LiveAsk platform and vote on them. So the first one goes to Bryan. Does HIR deal with cases where, for example, a user does use Bevy prelude app as renamed Bevy app? Are there any strange edge cases you can't consider?
Yes, okay. So HIR is able to see past re-exporting and aliasing. I don't have it up right now, but if you saw the screenshot that I sent of the editor, you'll notice that when I specify hard-coded the paths to like the events type or the app type, I actually said Bevy _ app crate and then the full path to the app definition. So HR doesn't care where you're getting it from. It just cares about the original location of it. So yes, it can see past it and it handles re-exporting and renaming just fine.
Yeah. So you don't see any edge cases with whatever Rust syntax is allowed to not be possible with the linter.
Yeah, mostly it's fine. The one edge case that I've encountered that still isn't fixed is there's an alternative method syntax, whereas compared to saying like my variable dot method, you can say the full path to the type colon method, and then you pass in a reference to that object. That is not yet handled because that's different from a method call. That's just a function call as the HR treats it. But that's the biggest thing that I've encountered so far.
Oh, okay. So this is actually something that you would have to consider in each lint yourself. This is not like abstracted away by the helper crates or the syntax tree.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. So the next one goes to you, Zach. Have you tested how small you can get the memory overhead, excluding images and assets? Like what's the smallest footprint, I guess, from any of these experiments that you made?
Yeah, so I actually haven't experimented with that at all. I haven't done any performance optimization for Bevy. I've just used it as is, and I've been pleasantly surprised that, thankfully, Bevy's already quite well optimized. So that little Pico demo that I showed before, that uses 63K of memory, and that's just Bevy on its own in its natural state. I do hope in the future to trim that down further. It would be cool to see if we get it even lower. But I'm honestly just shocked that includes the schedule graph, that includes all the systems, that includes the frame buffer that's actually rendering onto the screen. Like 63K is a lot in the embedded world, but for a full-featured game engine that's being shoehorned into the embedded world, that's pretty impressive.
Yes, absolutely. That's pretty cool. Bryan, what is going to be the hardest kind of lint you see as a North Star goal?
Ooh, like what goals do I have for linters? Um, I don't think there's one specifically that is like in my mind as that's what I'm aiming for. Um, as I mentioned before, trying to like automate migrating to new versions of Bevy, I think that would be a really, really fun project.
Oh, wow,
And
yeah.
a hard reach, but I don't have a specific lint in mind for something that'd be super challenging.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, now that you pointed it out, is there for the existing lints already suggestions implemented, or is that also something that's still out
Yes,
there?
a lot of the existing lints have automatic suggestions, some of which aren't
Nice.
machine applicable because they require importing and stuff,
Mm.
and we can't easily suggest adding that. But yes, there are existing suggestions.
Okay, cool. So for anyone who needs like an example, they can look at that and see
Oh,
how that's
totally.
implemented. Yeah. Are you also seeing an editor? Well, this is probably outdated now that we've seen an editor, but the question was, can you see an editor being built for this? But it sounds like something that you really just added very recently, right? Um, is there more, like, is this going to be a proof of concept thing, or are you planning to build this out further?
I think
Oh, you're
muted.
muted.
This
Sorry.
is a very basic proof of concept, a 6-day throw it together for this presentation. I have some small things I want to do with it, but honestly, the raw cob files are so nice that I mean, I'm not super driven to develop it like to be on something become something really big. But of course, I'd support anyone who wants to tackle that.
Hmm. Yep. Gotcha. I mean, it's definitely a nice add-on, and it's also a cool use case to see how easy it is to build something like that, right? A great example itself. There's another one for you. So does Cobweb use Bevy Asset Loader under the hood, or did you implement this with manifests yourself?
So the manifests are all built in. I don't use any. My only dependency is Bevy Cobweb.
Okay.
And Bevy, of course.
Yeah. I think it's probably because there's a lot of similarities between the asset loader manifest files. I'm not sure if it's called like that, but you can also essentially have these collections of assets in there, right? But yeah.
But my manifests include manifest keys, so it's kind of custom.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, cool. Zach, this one's for you. What game would you make for the GBA once your new still work is done?
Oh no, you can't ask me that. I don't have ambitions. Honestly, I have no idea. I love the idea of just making little toy games. I think like a few game developers here, I'm more drawn to creating the engine and the tooling than I am specifically making the games. I think it's a curse some of us bear, where we're more interested in writing the code than actually making a game.
Yes, I think that's a common pattern I see. Hey, I wanted to use Bevy, but it lacked this UI thing, and here I am a year later.
Exactly.
Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had some lints?
Oh yeah. Damn, I tried to implement events, and then
Here I am doing laundry.
Yeah, it was just a theoretical. I think Alice or something like that wrote down a design document for what the Bevy CLI would look like. That's what originally stemmed this, a command line interface for working with Bevy projects. And one of the bullet points that she wrote down was, hey, maybe custom Bevy lints, and I just hit the ground running and never looked back.
Nerd sniped.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's so good to have so many people be motivated by these things, right? This is how this whole ecosystem grows and gets these very cool tools. Zach, another one for you. What's the init heap doing? I think this is a function that you showed in one of your
Yes.
snippets.
Yes, I can just very quickly show that. It's very small. So all that little, I'll just share my screen and wait for that to come through.
Where is your screen? I'm gonna put it up if I see it. Here.
Yep, there it is. Yeah, so all that function does, I'll hide that so you can see the whole thing. It just makes an array that's as big as my heap and gives it to a no STD allocator that was lovingly provided by Crates.io. So basically nothing. It's a very, very simple allocator. It's probably the kind of allocator you'd write in your first year of computer science.
Yeah, very, very cool. So how much heap did you have here for the Pico?
So if I go right up to the top, I gave it 96K to play with, and it used 63. I arrived at that number because I gave it 32 and it didn't work. So, so I just kept upping that number until it started working and it compiled.
Nice.
But even when it didn't work, it was still really cool because I gave it 32K and the program didn't work. It's like, oh, that means it ran out of memory. That means it was allocating.
Zach,
Yep.
I'm noticing you have this include bytes macro for a Bevy bird dark.data. What file format is that?
Yes. So a dot data, it's just an image, but it has no compression or anything. It's just 1 byte per pixel and as many pixels as you have in the whole image. So it's a 64 by 64 image of, actually, I think I've got it there. It's this little image here, but just 1 byte per pixel. And since it's black and white, that's 1 byte per bit. So it's very wasteful as an image format, but very convenient for what I need to do.
And then you have hard coded the dimensions to know how much X and Y, or is that in there?
I haven't started with the assets side of NoSTD, so I'm just cheating.
Totally fair. That brings us to another probably not 100% serious question of when Bevy on ATMs. I guess we can take it seriously. Do you know anything about the constraints of systems like that? Like if we are talking 63K, then how much is that compared to other like embedded systems?
So for really small IoT devices, that's probably on the fatter side of things. But for something like an ATM, that actually is totally feasible. ATMs already I think they'd actually be running like embedded Windows even. Like they're already quite high level machines. Pretty UIs for them as well. So kind of seriously, embedded Bevy is a reasonable target for an ATM machine. You want a pretty UI, but you also want something that's very low level and has minimal dependencies and total control. You don't want a Windows update popping up halfway through a financial
or a blue screen. Yeah,
exactly.
So CopeWeb UI on an ATM. Here you go. Okay, Bryan, here's another one for you. Will this still work if my project... Oh, wait, we already had that. Sorry, I should have read that. There's actually someone asking if you're mentoring newbies to work on this. So I guess you already answered that. That's a clear yes.
Yep.
So please go ahead, reach out and help support making the Bevy linter even stronger. The CopWeb editor is super cool. How do you handle rewriting cop files when you save that? I think maybe this was Bryan then.
It was.
Okay, I guess we kind of answered that already, which means we are actually at our last question from the Q&A platform. What's next for CopWeb? What do you still have on your roadmap?
So the there's one big feature remaining for the cob format. It's called scene macros. So a scene macro lets you it's kind of like a function, looks like a function, and it lets you construct a scene chunk, I guess, that can be pasted onto other scenes. And since it's function like, you can insert parameters that get injected into the definition of it. And so this is required to do cob oriented widgets, because it lets you have a base definition, and then you can override parts of the widget, and then stick that widget in a new scene, and then you've got a customized widget that is compatible with, on the Rust side, the components and so on that let you set up the widget and use it to add the logic.
Yeah. So like what other engines call prefabs, which can allow you to override and extend them, right? That's cool. Yeah. Did you look into how there is some concept for such stuff called patching in the BSN format, right? Do you draw some inspiration from that?
It doesn't make much sense to me. I don't really understand it. Maybe it's great, but it didn't really click with me. I think it's really, the patching is Rust oriented, so it's something you do. You do the patching in Rust, whereas this is all going to be within the cob files. So it's like a lot of data pasting. So you copy and paste the data in the cob representation. So it's a little different, but I assume the patching is going to serve a similar purpose.
Yeah. Okay. Pretty cool. So yeah, we are out of official questions. So I guess my last one personal question to you guys is, what is the most exciting thing you are waiting for in 0.15? Cody, do you want to start?
Oh, right. So entity commands gets a new little function that snuck in there accidentally called command
who did that?
It returns a mutable reference to commands, and this allows you to do I don't have presenting up, but it allows you to construct builder patterns based on entity commands, because it allows you to anyway, it's complicated, but it was really, really important for the ergonomics.
So that makes your builder pattern that you already built for the UI better, or just under the hood improvements?
So the old builder pattern only let you edit the scene nodes, and then you'd get a callback. But with the mutable reference, it lets you do get on the node, and then the get returns a new struct, which contains which lets you do a builder pattern directly on the gotten node.
Okay, that sounds pretty useful for your use case specifically, of course. Yeah, so there's going to be a matching release then pretty soon of your libraries as soon as we have 15 out.
Of course.
Awesome. So Zach, what about you? Aside from the fact that 15 rolls out the first bunch of actual contributions to the no-stood effort, right?
Yeah, first couple of little ones. Well, I say little, that we moved from this era to derive more, and that ended up being, I think, like several thousand lines of code change just over the whole Bevy repository. Just that one little thing. It was a bit viral. Honestly, I'm not sure. I think I suffer a little bit from just because I work on Bevy main directly. I think it's very easy for me to just sort of forget what comes out with each release. It really hurts when I'm writing migration guides. So I'm like, oh yeah, you do this and then this, and then I find out later that, oh, actually that was added like a week ago. So you need to write the migration from this other thing that existed 6 months ago instead. So honestly, I'm not sure. I think I'm just excited at the idea of it releasing at all, just because I think this has been a massive release. The release notes have taken a huge amount of work and effort from everyone to write. I think I'm just excited to see it release so that we can, get started on 0.16. Just keep that ball rolling.
Oh yeah, that's the spirit. After the release is before the release, right? Okay. Bryan, what's the most exciting for you in this?
So I'm in a very similar boat where I haven't really tried writing a game in Bevy for months at least, so I don't really know what's coming out. But required components I think might be one of my favorites because I remember working with bundles and being frustrated by the amount of just typing that I had to do. I felt like I was writing in Java. We don't like that feeling here. So it would probably be required components just because I think I like how it makes things a lot easier. What about you, Stephan?
Oh yeah, well, the required components is obviously the easiest one to pick, but my personal like teeny tiny one that I want to point out is the feature that allows you to bubble up observer events, actually, because we actually use observers in a lot of the UI, and to have to manually basically do that right now is going to be such a simplification once that stuff just gets automatically bubbled up. So that one, very very tiny but important. And yeah, I would say aside from that, I'm probably exactly on the other side of the fence. For me, it's really like once the release notes actually drop, that's when I probably noticed a bunch of the things when they were merged. But right now, it's really hard to remember like all the good stuff that is now going to come together in this one humongous release, right? So for me, this is going to be like a little Christmas. Let's hope it's not, it's hopefully a little bit before Christmas that we actually get to see it. And yeah, and then I'm going to be unwrapping this release by reading the release notes on day one, and I'm sure, based on experience, there's going to be a lot of shit that's going to be super exciting, and then a lot of stuff that's going to be breaking my neck until I can actually finally use it in the games. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Okay, any last notes? Anything that we missed?
No, I don't think so. Thank you very much for having us up. This has been an awesome experience.
Yeah, thank you. It's been awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you guys for making this possible, and obviously a huge shout out to you, Zach, to basically cut your night short for this. It's really appreciated. And so yeah, I'm going to wrap up. Good morning. Okay, great. I'm gonna drop you guys out. I'm looking forward to hear the progress on your stuff, and big hands from chat to all of you. And thanks for everyone to come here. And let me pull up my thank you slide. Where are we? Here we go. Thanks for joining. This was the 7th meetup. I'm super excited to keep doing this. So if there's any project that you came across that you think is going to be just waiting to be presented here, please reach out to me. If you have a topic of your own that you would like to present here, then please reach out to me. And other than that, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to our meetup group to not miss any of these meetups. And if you are interested in what kind of games that I mentioned are built on Bevy that we built, check out rustunit.com. And thanks everyone for coming, and have a great rest of your day.